I am a hoeologist. I've done academic research. A hoeologist. I genuinely am fascinated.
Me too.
The mind of a hoe is fascinating. I remember when I went on the Whatever podcast and I was sitting with 3 hoes and I was just beside myself, you know.
Wait, you did a podcast with hoes?
Yeah. Could you imagine? So
No.
there's this podcast called the Whatever podcast, and it's just a guy, and he just will pick 3 hoes, and they're like, "What do you do for a living?" And I'm a prostitute, and then they go to the next girl.
How'd you get there?
I'm an OnlyFans model. This is the whole point of the show. Then he just throws in like one conservative in the mix, and I don't want to sit in a room and listen to hoes for 3 hours. I am so glad I went because it was the closest I was like Steve Irwin. I was like, let me get a little bit closer. I'm fascinated by hoes. I am fascinated by just how quickly we have arrived at this stage, which is a hoepocalypse. It's a hoepocalypse now. Like it is everybody, people are competing to be the biggest hoe. Something tripped over. I actually, with my academic research, I tried to look at the moment where things got really crazy. It was around 2015, like something, I'm not saying that hoes didn't exist before, but I mean something switched up where it was like not only like, because before if you're a hoe, you weren't like proud, like the pride that they have in being a part of the hoedom is fascinating to me, right? Something changed. If you were a prostitute back in the day, it was something that brought you shame and you were maybe doing this to make ends meet. Now it's like, no, they are proud of being prostitutes. They are proud of going out to the highest bidder. I'm fascinated by it. And something happened in 2015. Amber Walk's Slut March was a moment, I would say. It was a moment.
Okay.
When the hoes were like, not only we're marching and we're proud to be hoes and we're topless and we're here to stay. And I was amazed by this hurricane of hoes that landed very, very suddenly in Los Angeles. And I think that was a moment. And then there was also this weird thing where like Kim Kardashian and Emily Ratajkowski like teamed up on Chloe Grace Moretz. She was at the time like a 19-year-old teenager, and she was, you know, Kim did her like weird host stuff where she was like, LOL, nothing to wear, and she was like fully naked on Twitter. And this teenage girl who's like a very like, you know, I'm not as well known as Kim Kardashian, but she was like, you know, don't you think that you should tell girls that we can be more? And Kim went at her, and then all the hoes jumped on Kim's side and they just dunked on this teenager. Like they were in their 30s. Amber Rose jumps in, like the hoes, it was a hoe hive, right? Going after a teenager, and they were like, no, we're here now. Like we are spiking the ball on people that have morals.
Do you not think hoes have morals?
Obviously, if you are selling yourself to the highest bidder, you are not morally aspirational, right? Your moral is money. Right? Your moral is money. That is a main component of being a hoe, is that you do it because there's a revenue. And so you're willing to do that. I mean, I've done a lot of research. I mean, I sat down with a prostitute on my show and working through her mentality. I was asking her, what about your son? And you could see she didn't want to talk about it. I was like, how do you think it feels for him when his friends can book his mom? Right? Just like want to walk through that. And yeah, it's about,
What did she say?
She was like, his friends, he doesn't care. I was like, nobody listening believes you right now. Nobody believes that your son, and we already know how teenage boys are and what he's gonna go through, because you're not just being a hoe, you're a proud hoe. You want people to know your name, right? To know that you offer services, and these are the services, here's how much you have to pay. So there's a lot to unpack there. To understand what motivates people to debase themselves and become so outwardly and obviously immoral, and then they get defensive because they know. At the end of the day, you can lie to the whole world, but you're dying with the truth. You will die into yourself. You go to bed, you know it's bullshit. And this is why I say even about jumping back to transgenderism. It's like you could tell everybody, I'm a woman, use the right pronouns. You're a grown man. When you go to bed at night, in the back of your head, you're like, bro, I'm not a woman. This is a joke, right? They're dying with the truth, but that's why they're so desperate for people to affirm them in their immorality, is because they hope that if enough people lie to them, then the lie will become the truth. And I'm just always gonna be a brick wall with that, right? So yes, being a hoe is immoral. Sleeping with people's husbands is immoral. Just because you're Ariana Grande and you make a ton of money doesn't make you not immoral, right? Everything you've done has been despicable. And people should call you out on that. If they wanna listen to your music and bop to it, fine. Whitney Houston's better. Like, you know, they're not doing this for women. Of course not. What you just said. I benefited from the hoedom. Can a woman stand up and say that they benefited from the hoedom? No, they can't. You have benefited. Men have benefited. No. The ones that are selling their bodies can and saying I'm making money, but the ones that have morals and want to date a man that has morals and want to come together and raise children are now having to deal with the fact that these women at the end of the day are porn stars, right? They're trying to dress it up. It's only whatever. You're a porn star by another name. And pornography and addiction to pornography is a major ill in our society, and men are struggling with this. I talk about pornography on my show and the amount of men that go, thank you for even being willing to take on this topic, you know, because it's everywhere. We've now edited ourselves where we don't even appreciate or recognize that it's all softcore porn. A Gucci bag and women are half naked. Why? Can you not sell this bag without your titties? You know, like, I don't understand this. So porn is a cancer. It's a cancer on the mind. There have been so many psychological experiments to what it does to people when they're introduced to it too young. I actually thought it was an act of bravery when Ye spoke about his struggle with pornography, because men don't normally talk about it. Yeah.
And I think a lot of men struggle with this because it's
and they shouldn't be ashamed.
It's right in our face.
Yeah.
But that kind of ties into the whole movement. I think you hit some of that on the head with your Kim Kardashian talk.
And guys are biologically wired, so why I always want men to hear, don't be ashamed about having that conversation, because how unfair. Men are biologically wired differently to women. Everything that surrounds them is tempting them with this addiction, right? And then you'll have women on the other side of that talking about men and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, we are the biggest perpetuators of pornography are women, okay? And then he cheated on me. Men ain't shit. There's a yin and a yang here, and we have weakened men. We continue to weaken men. Women continue to weaken men, because that's what pornography ultimately does. It weakens men. It does. And the people that purvey pornography, the ones that are making the money off it, know it. They know that. It's weird, but it's thought of. There are people that are Machiavellian, thinking about, how do I weaken this person and turn him to a slave of his desires?